That's X, okay? TV47 News on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, and my X handle is @GraceKorea. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Roda Nyamai, and my name is Grace Korea Kanja. Once again, welcome to the broadcast. Now, President William Ruto has reiterated that the foreign peace mission to Haiti is set to go and is expected to last. This comes after the cabinet gave the deployment of the police to Haiti a nod yesterday. Now, pending approval in Parliament in the coming week, the president has termed this mission as an opportunity for our troops to sharpen their skills. Sheila Chelangat kicks us off.
Tonight, the deployment of the Kenyan police to the violence-rocked Caribbean nation of Haiti remains firmly on course following the cabinet nod on Friday and a seconding of the force's readiness by President William Ruto Saturday.
And the executive has conveyed the request to Parliament for consideration. I look forward to an expeditious consideration of this request in the light of the dire situation in Haiti.
This mission had faced a series of stumbling blocks, including a court order that was issued halting the deployment following a petition that challenged the mission, noting it had proven a headache even to first world countries.
Maafisa wetu wa polisi ya Kenya wametumika katika kuleta mambo ya amani nchi mbalimbali, ikiwemo Namibia, ikiwemo Croatia, ikiwemo East Timor, ikiwemo Cambodia, Liberia, Sierra Leone, nchi nyingi sana.
However, today, while taking the arguments head-on, the president argued that the UN Security Council's backing was influenced by Kenya's ability to lead.
And as an anchor country already in our region, that is anchoring the peace and security of our region. It is on this understanding that the UN Security Council made a resolution to authorize and facilitate the deployment of this multinational security support mission.
And while the police-to-civilian ratio in Kenya had been challenged, considering that the UN indicates that it should be 1 to 450, questions arising was, does Kenya fit this rationale?
The analysis clearly showed that we had enough men and women to take care of our policing responsibilities in Kenya and to extend a hand to the people of Haiti who are in need.
And as Kenya plans to lead the mission expected to last for 12 months, the president has indicated that other African countries have also expressed commitment of their troops to join the mission.
They are all catered for by international frameworks, just as it happens in all other deployments.
This is not a first for Kenya deploying its troops on international missions, and the president says it sharpens their skill even for threats on our borders. The president spoke after presiding over the KDF Day celebration, where he offered gratitude to soldiers for their acts of valor in protecting the nation. Today serves as a reminder of the true cost of freedom we enjoy, courtesy of these brave men and women in uniform who have dedicated their lives in ensuring that our territorial borders are safe. Sheila Chelangat at the Embakasi Garrison in Nairobi.
Thank you, Sheila Chelangat, for that. Let's move on. And tonight, Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga has called out President William Ruto for capturing the judiciary and parliament. The Azimio leader, who spoke in Kitui County in the company of Azimio leaders, said the president has rendered parliament useless by dictating the agenda on crucial bills while using Kenya Kwanza numerical strength to push his agenda. Odinga's criticism came as opposition legislators criticized their Kenya Kwanza counterparts for becoming mere rubber stamps in transacting parliamentary business.
The team of Azimio in this county.
All right, we do apologize for that. We shall get that report later on Raila slamming President William Ruto for what he calls state capture. All right, let's move on. And with days left to the launch of the UHC rollout, the government, through the Ministry of Health, has vowed to support local manufacturing and production of health products to ensure Kenyans have access to vital services.
The COVID-19 pandemic unearthed some of the challenges deeply rooted in the global health systems, especially in the African continent. The shortage of the COVID-19 vaccines served as a wake-up call to many nations in Africa to fast-track the development of human vaccine facilities. In 2019, Kenya established the BioVax Institute with the sole aim of manufacturing the COVID-19 vaccines.
By setting up the infrastructure for manufacturing at Kenya BioVax, we are preparing this country for any emergencies like endemics, pandemics, which we were not able to respond to in 2020 when COVID struck.
The BioVax Institute now seeks to manufacture more vaccines like the childhood vaccines by 2025.
Kenya is set to exit from support from Gavi and UNICEF for our routine childhood vaccines by the year 2027, going to 2030. So that will be our initial focus.
The government has invested between 1.5 to 2 billion Kenya shillings in the BioVax project. On the 30th of January this year, Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha met the International Vaccine Institute Director General Jerome Kim to achieve the BioVax mandate through partnership in research, product development, technical assistance, and local workforce.
Kenya BioVax is the partner in the mRNA technology transfer program for Africa, and we are already working closely with Afrigen. So we will be able to get that technology transferred to Kenya through Kenya BioVax, and therefore we are preparing ourselves for future.
The government has vowed to support local production for health products and technologies ahead of the UHC rollout on the 20th of October 2023.
We have identified the 4 pillars of universal health coverage. One of them, the commodity security that we are here today. Your Excellency, the other one is human resources, which we started the conversation 2 days ago as part of our celebrations. The third one, Your Excellency, is technology. All this cannot happen without leveraging on technology. And finally, on financing of healthcare.
Vaccines are not the only locally manufactured products. At the just concluded 2-day local manufacturing expo in Nairobi, a number of local manufacturers were able to showcase their products, including medical equipment, medicines, and hygiene products.
So this is specifically used for women after they give birth because of the bleeding that occurs after they've given birth. It's meant to contain that bleeding. So it doesn't have wings so that it does not irritate the stitches, because they are for those who have vaginal stitches that after they give birth, it does not irritate the stitches.
On Friday, President William Ruto presided over the official opening of the expo, where he promised local manufacturers of the government support through entities like KEMSA, KEMRI, and the Ministry of Health.
Local manufacturers in Kenya are now hopeful of getting a ready market right here in the country after President William Ruto said that come 2026, 50% of medical products will be produced locally. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47 from the KICC, Nairobi.
Right, thank you so much, Elizabeth Atieno, for that. Let's move on. And Agriculture and Livestock CS Mithika Linturi has been crowned Meru spokesperson, taking over the mantle from former Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi, an event presided by Njuri Ncheke elders who have expressed their confidence in Linturi to lead the community. This comes as Meru leaders give a nod on the impeachment of Governor Kawira Mwangaza, with a motion expected before the Senate anytime next week over what they term as mismanagement of the county.
Hakuna uongozi mwingine tutatambua kama si uongozi wa Mithika Linturi. He is our kingpin, he is our spokesperson wa Meru. He is the elder, the most senior elder wa Meru. Na tumempatia hizo nyasifa sote. Hata ingawa ni waziri, ndio ni waziri wa Kenya, lakini ni msemaji wa Meru. Yeye ndiye ako na rais, ndiye ako na serikali. Kwa hivyo matunda ya serikali tuko number 4. We are rated number 4. Na hiyo number 4 tunataka kuipeleka number 1. Kwa hivyo tunaambia rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ajue what we have done today is a serious matter. Lazima iheshimiwe na isingatiwe.
The government has announced reviewed fuel prices, with petrol prices increasing by 5 shillings 72 cents, diesel up by 4 shillings 48 cents, and kerosene up by 2 shillings 45 cents per litre for the months October 15th to November 14th, 2023. This means that super petrol will retail at 217 shillings 36 cents, diesel at 205 shillings 47 cents, and kerosene at 205 shillings 6 cents in Nairobi. Paul Kirobi with more on this report, produced by Eric Matika.
The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority (EPRA) has announced an increase in the maximum retail price of super petrol by 5.72 shillings per litre, diesel by 4.48 shillings per litre, and kerosene by 2.45 shillings per litre for the October 15 to November 14, 2023 pricing circle in Nairobi. Super petrol, diesel and kerosene will now retail at 217.36 shillings, 205.47 shillings, and 205.06 shillings, effective midnight for the next 30 days. The prices are inclusive of the 16% value-added tax VAT, in line with the provisions of the Finance Act 2023, the Tax Laws Amendment Act 2020, and the revised rates for the excise duty, adjusted for inflation as per legal notice number 194 of 2020. During a press briefing on Saturday, Energy CS this month's briefing to let Kenyans know what the government is doing to try and deal with the skyrocketing prices of petroleum products, even as he noted that citizens should expect more price increases. While supporting the government-to-government fuel purchasing agreement, churches say the cabinet agreed to use the Petroleum Development Levy (PDL) to cushion Kenyans. The amounts shaved off with the removal of Petroleum Development Levy at 3.07 shillings from super petrol, 11.64 shillings from
All right, and tonight, Azimio coalition leader has called out President William Ruto for capturing the judiciary and parliament. The Azimio leader, who spoke in Kitui County in the company of Azimio leaders, said the president has rendered parliament useless by dictating the agenda on crucial bills while using Kenya Kwanza numerical strength to push his agenda. Odinga's criticism came as opposition legislators criticized their Kenya Kwanza counterparts for becoming mere rubber stamps in transacting parliamentary business.
In his latest protest yet against President William Ruto's regime, Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga led the opposition in criticizing the president for running parliament and the judiciary from State House, saying the two arms of the government have been captured by the executive to push its agenda.
Bunge wetu mna sasa hawezi kuzaa chochote. Sasa amri linatoka kule Ikulu. Amri likitoka Ikulu ati hii petition namna hii inaleta tu hapa kwa bunge kupiga stamp. Inapita vile kupingwa.
The recent passage of the finance bill, now law, a case in point that exposed a helpless Azimio versus Kenya Kwanza enjoying numerical strength after a section of opposition members decamped to Kenya Kwanza. Azimio MPs, led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, lamented how Kenya Kwanza has exploited the two houses of parliament, becoming a mere rubber stamp for the executive.
Tunaleta alternatives, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, watu wanaleta numbers. Wewe unakuja na maoni mzuri, yeye amengoja tu anaambia speaker put the question. Tunataka kupiga kura twende nyumbani. Kwa sababu amepokea simu tayari kutoka wapi? State House. Anaambiwa hii hata wakilia yenye mpitishi.
With the price of fuel set to rise by midnight, the opposition has termed it as ironical for the hiked prices while the bombers talks are going on.
Bei ya petroli imeongezeka na shilingi 6 kwa lita. Na bei ya kerosene, bei ya
diesel imeongezeka na shilingi 5 kwa lita. Vile vile bei ya mafuta taa imeongezeka na shilingi 3 kwa lita. Kama tutasimama imara sisi sote tuungane kama wanazimio, hii serikali itaangamiza wananchi. Hii serikali ni Mwenyezi Mungu ameruhusu ikuje itunyanyaze, tufinye, tusikie uchungu kesho yake. Kwanza watu ya mlima saa hii ndio kimewaraba kwa sasa. Hata wale walikuwa wanatembea kule, leo hii akienda asimame kule ajaribu kuongea ya huyo jamaa anakemewa.
Fidelity to political parties is one of the key agenda in the ongoing bipartisan talks, which was agreed on this week. Details of how to tame defections after elections are still being worked out, though a section of Azimio MPs want the law amended to effect a by-election if an MP switches camp. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo Kamau, for that. Now, hundreds of families could be spending the night in the cold following the demolition of hundreds of structures in disputed land case in Athi River, Machakos County. And as Paul Muniu now tells us, places of worship were not spared in the demolitions that are supervised by the police.
Ongoing demolitions cutting across complete and incomplete buildings in Athi River, Machakos County, flattening the hopes of shelter of hundreds of families who called this place home for years. Church and a mosque was not spared as they were among hundreds of structures demolished in a mission to evict squatters from the said land.
If by tomorrow that animosity that is being meted to our people doesn't stop, we are going to come out, not the police, not guns that are going to stop us.
While attending a prayer service at the governor's office in Machakos on Saturday, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka lashed out the decision he termed as rushed, calling for an immediate stoppage of the exercise.
Politics aside, this is a crime against humanity. Tunaongea juu ya sio Wakamba peke yao, lakini Wakenya wanaoishi Mavuko.
We are concerned where there was such a rush to demolish, yet there has been substantive restraint for the last 10 years.
On October 9, 2023, the Environment and Lands Court in Machakos had struck out a court case that had been filed by Aimi Malukenya, who have been laying claim on the prime land of 4,298 acres. The judgment, led by the Lady Justice A. Nyakuri, notes that Aimi Malukenya had failed to serve their own documents to the defendants, defying the court orders.
We cannot allow that. We cannot allow you to bring down churches. We cannot allow you. We cannot allow that.
At one point, Governor Wavinya Ndeti shed tears as she addressed the audience, citing that the national government has forsaken the Akamba community in the row. On the other hand, Kalonzo Musyoka criticized the court ruling on the dispute, demanding that no further demolition should take place.
Machakos County should be enjoined to the proceedings and let the judiciary also refuse to receive instructions from the executive. I'm a lawyer. I know Justice Odunga was here. You could not direct Justice Odunga to do injustice to the people. And absolutely right, Bishop Kababu. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Paul Muniu, TV47.
Thank you, Paul Muniu. And the Law Society of Kenya has cautioned politicians from associating with fake advocate Brian Mwenda Njagi. The warning comes after former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko posted a video of himself alongside Mwenda on social media, stating that he intends to sponsor Mwenda to attain legitimate certification that would allow him continue his law practice. And as our reporter Dennis Otieno now tells us, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Renson Mulele, has directed the Inspector General of Police to expedite a probe on Mwenda over identity theft claims.
It's very discouraging to see guys attacking this brilliant legal mind on social media.
It is this video that prompted the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, to react by asking politicians and Kenyans at large to disassociate themselves from the alleged fake city lawyer Brian Mwenda Njagi.
This guy, he has never killed anyone. He's not a terrorist. He's not a criminal. Ni brain zake anatumia.
The video entails former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko alongside Brian Mwenda, who is said to have been practicing law without legitimate certification, as Sonko promises to restore Mwenda's career by sponsoring him to get quality law education and certification from the Kenya School of Law, sentiments the LSK term as aiding a fugitive on the run.
Brian Mwenda should not be celebrated as a hero. He is a criminal, and as of now, he is a fugitive.
Speaking to the press Saturday morning, LSK President Eric Theuri pointed out offences made by Mwenda during his said illegal practice of the law, including obtaining money from his clients through misleading means and stealing the identity of an existing advocate.
He did not create a new account. He got onto an existing account pretending to be an advocate.
Among other leaders to express their support for Mwenda include KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli through an official statement. Meanwhile, the Director of Public Prosecution, Renson Mulele Ingonga, has called for a probe into the case by directing Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome to investigate the suspect over allegations of identity theft.
Wacha kunishika. Wacha maneno mengi. Ndio nakwambia usinishike. Hapana. You have arrested my client without telling them why you are arresting them.
The DPP cited similar cases pending in court where unqualified individuals have either impersonated lawyers, stolen their identity, or at times used fake credentials to operate law firms and solicit money from unsuspecting citizens. Mwenda is still at large. However, according to Mike Mbuvi Sonko's social media video, he will present himself to the police on either Monday or Tuesday.
Kijana, cheers, eh? Good. You're in safe hands, eh? Don't worry.
Dennis Otieno, TV47.
We record the statement. Tumalize hii maneno. Kama you have anything to share.
Thank you, Dennis Otieno, for that. Now to a story of turning frowns into smiles. And a group of doctors from the Nairobi Hospital, in conjunction with Help a Child Face Tomorrow organization and Save a Life Foundation, are working to help bring back smiles to children suffering from cleft lip and palate. The surgeries being conducted on 16 children from financially challenged families will be conducted today, Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday. Parents who have been assisted by this project say that the program has lifted a huge financial burden off their shoulders, and they hope that parents with children of the same condition do not hide them.
Superstitions and discrimination surround this rectifiable condition.
This thing is doable. Let's say it's doable. You don't have to hide your child because of the condition. Personally, I didn't hide my child. I came out. That's why I got the help. So come out. The surgery is free. It's sponsored. So don't hide your child. Get your child out and he'll get the help he needs.
Mothers whose children have gone under the knife to have the cleft lip and palate rectified, grateful for the chance to turn frowns to smiles.
She has undergone 2 surgeries so far, but she has a fistula which needed to be corrected today. And through fistula, she cannot talk well, because she cannot pronounce some words. They're coming out of the nose instead of the mouth.
The program that is spearheaded by a group of doctors at Nairobi Hospital, together with NGOs, will see 16 children affected by this condition operated on free of charge.
To Kenyans who would have otherwise found it extremely difficult to access that curative and restorative medicine, to give those youngsters a smile as they grow up.
Children born with cleft lip or palate face major challenges, especially when it comes to socializing with people in society. This is because they fear discrimination.
However, Save a Life Foundation, Help a Child Face Tomorrow, and Nairobi Hospital have made it a dream come true for these children and their parents so that they can be able to face the society without fear of discrimination. Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi Hospital.
Thank you, Vera Alberta, for that. To Turkana now, where ODM MPs want Governor Lomurukai to apologize to ODM boss Raila Odinga and Kenyans at large over chaos witnessed yesterday at the Tobonglore Cultural Festival's chaos, which denied Raila and his brigade an opportunity to address the attendees. Speaking at Lodwar Town, the leaders have criticized Governor Lomurukai for demeaning Raila and Azimio brigade, urging him to mend his ways, insisting that Raila has a massive following in the region, urging him to quit ODM in peace if he doesn't believe in its ideologies.
The team of Azimio in this county, we want the government to take necessary action against this governor. This governor has become a rogue. Our county commissioner, we question what the county commissioner of this county does with the governor. We question him, and we warn you as members of the national leaders. Any statement that we make, county commissioner, I want to remind you, when we speak as leaders. We work for the county government, we work for the national government. And His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, in one of the meetings, told us that you are the one who are representatives of national government on the ground.
Himself as a person got over 70% of the Turkana presidential votes. So allow the people who voted to celebrate their leader when he comes. And then this does not mean we don't respect our sitting president, William Samoei Ruto, Daktari. We respect him. He's our leader. When Raila respects him and he respects Raila, who are we to bring in things in between?
He abused the leadership of Uganda, specifically the president of Uganda. He has abused the leadership of South Sudan. How would they come here? In fact, some of them even called and said they will be unsafe. If they come to Lodwar to attend the cultural festival, they will be unsafe. Nobody assured of their safety. So that is why they didn't come. They didn't, and I want to, even those ones who came this time will not come the next time. So this thing is closed. Tobonglore is closed until Lomurukai is out of leadership. That is when we can begin.
Right, and we are due for our fast commercial break here on TV47 Weekend Edition. But stay with us. Let's take that break.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa we could get money to pay our rent, pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
but you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Mutuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Ni cheche.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible.
Right, thank you so much for staying with us. Let's move on now. And President William Ruto is tonight traveling to China, where he will address the Belt and Road Forum. The president will also hold bilateral talks with his host, President Xi Jinping.
This is the first time President William Ruto is visiting China since he assumed power. The president with other world leaders will address the Belt and Road Forum, and he will deliver a keynote address on digital economy as a new source of growth, highlighting Kenya's achievement in ICT and innovation. During his meeting with the Chinese leader, President Ruto will address matters of mutual benefits and cooperation to the two nations. The president will also participate in a Kenya-China Investors Roundtable. Kenya and China share strong bilateral economic and trade cooperation. Kenya has been pushing Beijing to open up its markets as it tries to reduce the trade deficit between the two nations.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet.
Right, thank you, Eric Matika, for that. To the world of sports now. In 2017 Africa under 25,000-meter silver medalist Sandra Chebet won the first leg of the Athletics Kenya cross-country series in Machakos County Saturday afternoon. The 25-year-old Chebet took command of the race with 2 laps to go and won the women's 10-kilometer race in 34 minutes and 2.6 seconds ahead of Mercy Chepkorir and Teresa Cherotich, who came in second and third respectively. Now, meanwhile, in the men's 10-kilometer race, Kenya Defence Forces Vincent Mutai emerged victorious in under 29 minutes and 39.1 seconds, while Athanas Kioko and Brian Kipto settled for second and third respectively. The second leg of the cross-country series will be staged on the 21st October in Kapswokoni, Bungoma County.
Mimi nashukuru competitors wote wenye tulikuwa wote pamoja. Juu kama sio wao singekuwa number 1 na singejua penye niko. Lakini mimi nashukuru wote juu wamekuja na tumecompete pamoja. Tumesaidiana.
Race ya leo haikuwa mbaya. Ni mwanzo. Ini build up ya mbio zingine zenye iko mbele na crosses nyingi. Ninafurahi nimewin hii leo. Nimefurahia nimewin hii race ya leo. Sikuwa ni expect ni win. But all along ichakuwa surprise sana juu nina train.
And the Kenya Police Bullets secured a 5-2 win over Bungoma Queens in their round 2 tie of the FKF Women Premier League at the Police Sacco Stadium. The Bullets were in fine form and dominated the match from the onset, with Puren Arukwe firing Kenya Police ahead with a fine goal in the second minute before Winnie Gwatenda extended the advantage with her goal at the stroke of halftime. Puren Arukwe completed her hat-trick in the second half, while Lucy Kwekwe added 1 goal for Police in the victory, while Eunice Alivitsa scored a goal for Bungoma Queens in the losing effort.
Game ijakuwa mbaya, game imekuwa mzuri. I think polisi wametushinda na uzoefu, wako na wachezaji wenye wako na experience. Wachezaji wangu kidogo tumelaka experience kwenye midfield, experience kwa kumaliza. I think tutawork on kwa midfield na finishing next game. Hapo unajua tunarudi next game, tunarudi Nairobi. I think tutawaka kwa finishing na midfield yetu imekuwa mbaya. Tulikuja kwa ligi tukijua ligi ni ngumu, kwa sababu saizi Kenya Women Premier League ilianza ya kwanza. Matimu zimesaini vizuri, watu wamejipanga. Itabidi pia sisi turudi kwa drawing board, tujipange vizuri ndio tukuje tutackle next game.
Preparation imekuwa iko poa. Na wachezaji pia wameshikana. But ilikuwa game ya kwanza, obviously ingekuwa ngumu kwetu. But wame give their best.
And the national women's rugby team, Kenya Lionesses, started their 2024 Paris Olympics qualifiers campaign on a high note after...
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038. Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi. Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a...
Right, thank you so much for staying with us. Time now for our conversation on pregnancy and infant loss. Like I mentioned when we started the bulletin, remember this month, October, is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and tomorrow actually is the day that this day is commemorated. Tomorrow, Sunday, October the 15th, and my guests are already with me in studio. Mercy Chege Omari, who is a mother and an author. Hope for a Grieving Heart. Karibu sana Mercy, we're glad to have you tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely, and of course Dorothy Omolo, who is a counseling psychologist. Karibu sana Dorothy.
Thank you so much.
Right, so like I mentioned, this day is remembered annually every October 15th, that is tomorrow, for pregnancy loss and infant death, which includes miscarriages, stillbirth, sudden infant death, ectopic pregnancies, and the death of a newborn. And that's the conversation that we're having tonight. And Mercy, I would like to start with you, because I have had the pleasure of reading your book, really good book, yeah? You write so well, by the way. I love how you do it, Mercy.
Thank you.
And what caught my attention was, I would call it not the first chapter, but the first beat, where you talk about your story and why you write. And Mercy, you say, I'm writing this book while on maternity leave, but with no baby. I want you to take it from there.
Okay. So I wrote this book. Well, yes, like I began in the book, while on maternity leave, and my baby had just passed on, say 2 months before the day I started penning down everything I penned down. So he was born with a few breathing issues, then he fell sick and he didn't stay for long with us. So he's a baby that I was able to hold and see, but he didn't stay long. And so while I was going through the grieving process, I was at home. Thankfully, my workplace allowed me to have my full maternity leave. So I was picking myself up, asking myself questions, praying, going through the grieving process, doing therapy as well. And then I say God put it in my heart to write this book. And so I started writing, and I wrote and wrote, and I don't believe I got to all these pages, like 250 pages plus. Though I wrote it in 2021, but I sat on it because I was not ready to put it out there. So I just sat on it and shared it with a few friends here and there, and they told me, your book is amazing. You need to put it out there to help other people who are going through a similar loss, and just to encourage them. And so that's how I was able to launch the book this year, and that is how I'm here.
And here we are.
Here we are.
But Mercy, you say you wrote it in 2021, released it this year, 23. and you say you were not ready to release it.
Yeah. Grief is a complicated process because you have so many mixed feelings, mixed emotions. You don't know, sometimes you don't know where to start. And so with the book, I narrate my grief process through like the five stages of grief, which I'm sure she'll talk about. So there's the denial or the shock. So at the beginning, there was a shock and numbness. I'm like, is this really happening? You'd pinch yourself and wonder, is this happening? And so there was that. There's the anger. You know, sometimes you ask God questions and you're like, me? Why me? And how is this happening to us? And if I'll mention, this is the second loss I'd had. So I have 2 babies in heaven, I say, and 1 baby here. I have a 4-year-old. So now the grief process was going on as I was penning down. So pretty much how I penned down this book is there were just journal entries and things that inspired me along the way, or things that I liked, things that made me feel comfort of some sort. Bible verses, my faith carried me through the whole process. So I'd journal them down, and then that God put it in my heart to put everything into a book and to be as raw and as vulnerable as possible. And so I fought with the idea, and then I penned it down. Then I fought with the idea of releasing it, and then finally I did. The stages of grief. So the depression, the what. So it was a back and forth before I finally decided that, okay, I'm ready. I can release this book. Yeah.
Right. Dorothy, there's something Mercy mentioned, and I was actually going to ask her that question, why me? Because I ask because I have also experienced grief with my father, and I asked, why me? But people say, who do you want it to be? I found that rude, you know, but how do we go about that question?
The why me is the anger part. The why me is always the unsure part before it comes to, you know, starting to bargain. It's also part of bargaining, because why me is, why should it happen to me? Why at this point of time? Again, dependent with the nature of the relationship you had with the departed, it can precipitate the why me, the why now, the why us. So the why me is part of the grief process, which again, it does not necessarily mean that it has to follow a particular procedure. Actually, the why me can even come after, in the case of a death, it could come even after burial, when the void is now so evident. Now it is the why me. So the why me is asking questions, is the bargaining, the brain trying to understand, or rather come to terms with what is already real on the ground. So the why me is a very important phase. Actually, when I went to a friend's father's burial, I really wanted her to go the why me way. Because if you don't go the why me, then it means the why me is there, but you're numbing it. You're refusing to acknowledge it. So if you don't acknowledge it, eventually it will come out, and it won't come out in a why me when it's happened. The why me that will come later, the latter why me, is never a beautiful why me.
Right.
So the question why me is very important.
And as you speak, Dorothy, what's ringing on my mind is it's okay not to be okay. And you have that in your book, Mercy. Yeah? Dorothy, again, something that Mercy said, her place of work, her workplace, did allow her, you know, time to heal, time to grieve, yeah? And I want us to talk about how important that is. Reminds me of a conversation we had, should be about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, on a show that I host tomorrow, that's To The Point, where we were talking about pregnancy loss leave, yeah? And a company in Kenya introducing that and all. But how important is it for a workplace, a company, to give its employees time to grieve?
Thank you, Grace. I think I was elated sometimes in the course of last month to have seen EABL introduce that. And I think I was so elated because, one, in as much as this is just a normal grief, a normal loss and grief that needs attention, they extend an olive branch to assure you, and that rather to also acknowledge your pain. Because if you're supposed to be given like a normal 1 week leave to go bury and then come back, psychologically you won't be there. So the fact that Kenya as a whole and companies are now embracing this part of grief, losing a child, losing pregnancy, is just as bad as losing a life. And now the cut of them still maintaining it as a maternity leave, for me, I think gives the mothers, you see, like for her case, for Grace's case, she was, for Mercy's case, they were able to give her that opportunity. And then within that time, she was able to, pick up the pieces of herself. In fact, to her, the pain turned to a beautiful thing to the rest of the world. So imagine a case that she was not given such an opportunity. Where would she be today? So I'm happy from where I sit that companies in Kenya are now starting to understand that the loss of a pregnancy or loss of an infant is just as bad as a normal grief and a normal death. Yeah.
Right. Mercy, I want to ask something that's in your book. Yeah? Because you ask, have you been told to be strong and not cry? And that's what I want to ask you.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I realized about grief is everyone has maybe their own experiences somewhere or has different sorts of advice. One piece of advice that really helped me during that time of grief was a lady. She asked me how I'm doing, and I said, I'm trying to be strong. And she said, you don't have to try to be strong. It's okay not to be okay. And she referenced Jesus in the Bible, and she said, Jesus cried when Lazarus died, and this is Jesus. And so tears are not a form of weakness or a form of lack of faith. Tears are just you acknowledging that you have lost something precious and you're processing the emotions. I like what you said about not suppressing your feelings. And so I had to learn not to suppress my feelings. So anytime I was feeling low, I could give myself permission to grieve. Or if I was feeling down, I'd give myself permission without feeling guilty or thinking, oh, it's my faith that is low. A lot of people maybe in the church will say they're in a better place, and sometimes maybe they may minimize it or try to make you minimize your pain. But I learned that even faith and grief can correlate. I mean, it does not mean that you do not have faith if you're going through a hard time, you're going through maybe depression, through a loss. It's okay. If Jesus wept, even you have the permission to weep. And so no one should tell you, or when I go for funerals and I hear people being told, don't cry, I'm like, no. It is part of being human. You're human. You need to cry. You need to let it out. Don't suppress it. It's healthy, in fact, to cry. And suppressing, like she said, is very unhealthy. And yeah, so it's okay not to be okay.
And I'm burning because they told me it is well. They told me he's in a better place. They told me something worse could have happened. But that did not help me.
Yeah. So that's rationalization, I think. Just trying to... I realize people want to see you okay. And so it's not also coming from a bad place. But minimizing is not the way. And I talk about Job's friends. When Job was going through all the issues and his friends came and said, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So I think the best thing is just acknowledge that someone is hurting and just, sit in silence and just say, I'm here, without trying to rationalize it, because they're still processing it. So when you rationalize it for them, you don't give them a chance to process it, and don't allow them to even grieve in front of you. So just, the silence sometimes is good, but presence, yeah.
Right. Okay, still with you, Mercy. I want us to talk about, before we get to the healing part, before we get to finding hope after, I want us to talk about the impact of this loss, pregnancy loss or infant loss. Dorothy will take us through the psychological impact. But Mercy, I want you to talk to us about the physical impact or the physical discomfort, yeah? Because when a woman is pregnant, even her body knows, we are pregnant, we are getting ready for this. And then something happens. Take us through your experience.
So it's a hard ordeal, both physically and emotionally. So once you've had your baby and the breast milk automatically comes because your body has read that there's a baby that has come, and so now when the baby is no more, your body doesn't know that your baby is no more, and so it's producing breast milk. So I remember being so engorged and wondering, okay, what will I do? And I had to get medication to help the engorgement to go down. I had to try remedies to just help the swelling to go down as well. And so it was a painful process, and at the same time I'm healing from a C-section wound. And so it was very a hard ordeal, both emotionally and physically. Yeah.
All right, Mercy. Dorothy, the psychological impact?
The psychological impacts are as deep as physical impact, because they are interdependent. Once like she's saying, the breast milk is coming out, it constantly reminds you of the absence of that precious baby. So that one would cause you anxiety attacks. That one would cause you, mood disorders. That one would cause you lack of sleep, insomnia, and again your appetite would go down, depressive moods, and a lot of other mental health issues. But again, as she's saying, that in as much as she was trying to hold back, she's trying to heal. You're trying to heal from your body and your mental preparation of having this baby, and then all of a sudden this baby is, it's literally lifted out of your hands like this. Now, again, trying to reprogram your mind that now it's not here. It's not here. Okay. How you talk to yourself, how you tell yourself these things, how you accustom yourself with these things also has psychological impact. In as much as the physical is there, but again, how you speak to yourself, how you speak to that situation, how it happens, and the rationalization part of it, how they talk to you, how they tell you to, handle things, that has massive, massive, massive impact on your mental health.
And in fact, how should people talk to people in such situations or circumstances? What do you say? What do you not say? Mercy spoke of just presence. I actually prefer that sometimes, because like she said, someone tells you something out of goodwill actually, but it gets you or rubs you the wrong way.
Before I go to what should they say, remember with the loss of a child as a person, first of all, you're dealing with guilt. Be it miscarriage or be it the neonatal once the baby is born. You're dealing with guilt, you're dealing with anger, you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with shame. You get? Now you're dealing with all these emotions, and then somebody's coming to tell you that, it's better that the child died, now they're in a better place. You're like, wait first. What are you even talking about? So depending on their stature in the society, or rather how you regard them, you'd want to brush them off, so that you also maintain that relationship, but you'd want to brush them off. Psychologically, you're blocking them off. Once you block them, their words cut like a double-edged sword. They cut so deep. So sometimes it's better that the society understands that miscarriage and the death of an infant is as a loss of your father.
Right.
The way you'd talk to me when I lose my father is the same way you should talk to me when I have a miscarriage. It's not that I was not a mother enough, because first of all, I've started asking myself, if I was a mother enough, why me? So as you come to speak to me, talk to me because I've lost something so precious. If you don't have anything to say, I always say, if you don't have anything to say, please just come sit there.
Don't say it.
Actually come and start singing.
Or just keep quiet.
Or just keep quiet.
Give me
just
water,
look at me.
give me whatever, anything I need. Yeah? Okay. So we are due for a break. Let's take that break. Stay with us. We come back and continue with this conversation on pregnancy and infant loss. Stay with us.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya Mabini.
Nikiripotia
Right, thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the conversation we've been having on pregnancy and infant loss, this being the Awareness Month. Tomorrow is actually the day to remember or commemorate this day. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah, tomorrow, October 15th, okay? So my guests are still with me, Masi Chege Omari, who is a mother and author, Hope for a Grieving Heart, and of course, Dorothy Omolo, a counseling psychologist. Masi, I want to come back with you, and I want us to talk about men, our men, because I've been challenged. Hase is Hase, it's a women's show, yeah? But people have challenged me to bring men on board because they also suffer. You know, when we're talking about this topic today, there's a man that relates somewhere. I had a conversation on, what's it called? Subfertility. I was told not to call it infertility. And men relate too, yeah? So most of the times we leave them out of this conversation and society expects them to be strong, strong for the woman, strong for the family, but they break at some point. What was your experience like, first of all, with your husband, yeah, when you two, as a family, went through this entire period?
Yeah. It was hard for him as well, very hard, because he had to be strong for me and for himself, and he's now taking charge of planning like a funeral, and we're hosting and all that. So it was very hard for him, and so I had to rope him into my grief and vice versa, him into mine, so that we don't drift. We had been warned that loss of a child or miscarriage can cause people to drift, in the sense that I go through my grief and go to this corner and deal in this way, and he goes to his corner and deals in his own way, and it can cause a rift. And so our faith also brought us together so that we can also grieve together. And on top of that, we got amazing support from our family and friends who are there for us both. And one of the the nicest things they did for us was they got us a grief therapist. And so we ended up doing grief therapy together. And so we had joint sessions for grief therapy and individual sessions. And so with the joint grief therapy, it was easy to know, okay, he's feeling this way, and it was easy for him to know how I'm feeling, because some of these things don't naturally come up in conversation, but a psychologist is able to probe and get to how are you really feeling. And so that having the joint sessions helped us be able to locate where we are with each other's grief and how we're processing it in different ways. Yeah, and just how to walk together in the journey and support each other.
How important is that, Dorothy, therapy, especially as a couple, like Masihe is saying, for a couple rather?
For a couple. Thank you so much, Grace. I'm happy that the family and the husband was able to, to work with her, or rather work with them through this. Now, narrowing it down to a couple, it is very, very important that couples understand that they are grieving the same thing. But that does not mean that their grieving style or a grieving process is the same. So as she said, the most important thing, or rather what helped them the most, was the fact that she was able to let the husband understand, this is how I'm grieving. And the husband was also able to make her understand, this is how I'm grieving, and this is how I'm feeling. Now you see, with that, nobody's grieving their own way. Somebody will keep quiet in a corner, cry. The other person would not want to eat. The other person will be preparing food so that people eat. And the disconnect and this, the dissociation gradually takes place. But once they're able to understand that, okay, this is our loss. Good. Now, how are we going to go through it together as a people, as a person? When I need space, I'll request for a space. Then the other person will understand that she needs some space, or he needs some space. Because remember, all of you prepared psychologically, financially, physically, and emotionally to have this baby growing. And now the baby is not there. So all of you are grieving. So men grieve. It's just that their kind of grief would be more of reserved, more quiet. They would look like, I'm the man, I got this. People will be coming to the house and they'll be the people doing the talking. But the woman would be, seated somewhere trying to understand and come to terms with everything that is the sudden change. But now when this happens, and the two, you see, it boils down to the two. It's not even about the extended family. The extended family is an external factor. But the primary factor here are these two. Once they're able to understand, this is how my wife is grieving, this is how my husband is grieving, now from there it's easy for them to go through that journey together. And then when they get to the grief therapist, the reason for them having individual sessions is to also establish how far are they, how far is the damage, and what is the immediate remedy. And then when they get to the other person, they also understand, okay, the damage is not as much as the other side. Now, when they're brought in together, they're still able to understand from each other's perspective. They're able to understand, oh, okay, so the time you were keeping quiet, so it was this pain. So the day that you didn't want to eat, it was this pain. It was not you, having these all over mood swings and all that.
Right.
So that was very important for them.
Right.
And congratulations to your husband.
I know. Yeah, I'm grateful that he, some of my friends say their husbands will never go to therapy. So yeah, but I'm grateful that he was willing to do it with me.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I want us to still talk about that, because some of your friends say their husbands will never go to therapy. Dorothy, you're talking about men being reserved, men not speaking up. And my goodness, we've had this conversation. I mean, last week when we were discussing mental health, we were telling men to open up. Yes. I mean, how do we get them to open up, Dorothy?
One, it's going to be a very long journey. It is.
It is?
Though,
that's the truth.
That's the truth. Though we are making steps.
Making progress.
Actually making progress.
Yeah.
One thing we must embrace is that there's the African paternity, the ideology behind paternity. It's since time memorial that a man is supposed to be a man. That's why even to date, you'll hear a mother a young mother telling the son, you're a man, you are a boy, you know, man up, stop crying like your sister. And that is a mother of this current century. Now, it means that the mentality is not only coming from the past, but it is something that was engraved to date. So men will cry with men. Men will cry in the clubs. A few men will cry in church. And even if they go to church, they'll still not be able to face their pastors with the real issues. So these issues, they find their corners. Once they find their corner, they try and work these things out. That's why they say that a man's brain is more right-handed than left-handed, because they're more logic than emotional.
Oh, yeah.
They're more logic than emotional.
Yeah.
It's more of a railway line. It is a railway line. That's why they can't multitask. It's a railway line.
This is the way.
Yes, this is the way. It is this way. We're going this way. Until they get to the corner, and then they come back to the next thing. So that is how they deal with their things. But when they realize that a woman is coming up and bringing the emotional aspect of whatever he's dealing with, they shut them out. So for a man to start opening up, it will take the men themselves to understand that, hey, okay, at this point, I'm not okay. And I'm so proud of the young men, or even the older men, and even the young generation that is realizing that, hey, by the way, it's, no, penye nimefika, this is not nice, this is not beautiful, something is not right. Who can I talk to?
Right.
And I always say, look like you get it all together in the public, but in the private, seek for help. In private, seek for help. Yeah.
Right. Masi, how did you get here? How can other mothers and fathers to get here? Here meaning writing a book about it, opening up, being vulnerable, like you said, going on live TV like you are right now, and talking about this, in as much as it might not be, the best conversation to have, but you're here, Masi, and we appreciate it. How do we get here?
Grief is, like I said, it's a very complicated journey. It's a mix of many things. And one thing I learned is that grief is not linear. So often we'll think, I've lost today, in 3 months I'll be okay, and it's a straight line like this. No, it is more of like a wavy, like all over the place. One day you're feeling, okay, today I'm okay. But in that same day by lunchtime, you are depressed. Or one day you wake up and you say, I have accepted the loss and I will move forward. But the next day you go back to bargaining and asking the why me and all those questions. So it's a difficult journey that often feels like 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. And so it's that acknowledging that grief is not linear and processing your different emotions. Faith for me played a very important role, because just praying to God and trusting Him and believing that He has a plan no matter what is happening. And so faith played a very important role. And therapy as well. I had a fantastic therapist. Like I said, we were doing joint sessions with my husband, and she helped walk with us. And apart from that, I have the most amazing support system. My family, my husband's family, all our friends, they stood by us and they were there for us. And I could write a book about just the beautiful things that they did for us that, helped to pick us up like that, getting us a therapist and saying, we'll cater for the bills. Just sometimes I'd have friends, when the numbers dwindle, at the beginning there are very many people, then eventually the numbers dwindle, and then you have a friend who'll come and sit with you and just watch TV and just cook for you maybe, or some would come get you out of the house to go out and eat. And so it's many different things that have enabled me to get to where I am. So God and faith being the first, and then my family and friends and therapy as well.
Right. And still on that, Dorothy, for someone who's watching, who's probably been in a situation like Mercy has, or many other women, because in fact, there are statistics globally about 12 to 15% pregnancies end in a miscarriage. That's according to International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics. How do I say move on? I don't feel like saying move on, but how do we heal? How do we progress? How do we move on with life? Because again, in your book, Mercy, you say the whole world is moving on. I mean, time does not stand still waiting for grace to heal, waiting for grace to wipe her tears. Kila kitu inasonga kama kawaida ya. So how do we not catch up, but at least carry on with the activities of life, despite bearing grief?
Okay, thank you. Though people will always tell you to move on, I want to tell women, please don't move on. Don't. Because
women and men?
Yes, both parents. Don't move on. The term move on means, why are you grieving? It was just a small baby. It wasn't born yet. Why is it taking you too long? Remember, when you're having this conversation, we must also keep into account that traditionally, and even back in the some rural setups to date, still believes that the death of an infant or a miscarriage is still attached to witchcraft. It's still attached to, there's this stigma that is still goes around it, not knowing that the parents to be or the parents are grieving. So with the stigma, women will be told, please move on. Please don't move on. Go through that grief. A pain is meant to be gone through. Then you come out refined. But if you go over it, it will come back. If you jump on it, go over it, get over, move on, it will come back. Pain is meant to go through the pain. Feel it. Today, make 2 steps. Tomorrow, you're back to square zero, not even step 1. Square zero, and it's okay. Then when the graph is wavy in your healing process, then you're healing. But when it's linear, there's a problem. So women should not move on. Neither should men move on. So how do they start moving on through this? Or rather, how do you start getting through this? Acknowledge every emotion that you're going through. Today, you don't feel like talking, it's okay. Take your time. You don't feel like eating anything, it's okay. It's fine. Please just drink water and rest. If somebody comes and gives you some words that you don't feel it's giving you the vibe, please just tell them, no, thank you for now. And it's okay because you're guarding your space. It is that space that you really need to hold tight. And then again, for married couples, please ensure that that time, it should be the moment that brings the two of you together. Because again, if it doesn't bring the two of you together, it's going to break you apart. Again, the parents, apart from just acknowledging that, also stand on your faith. Your higher power, if you're a Christian, please pray. Pray too much because there's that power in that prayer.
All right.
Another thing for families, acknowledging that loss and bringing everybody that can be supportive around you, both families, if they can be supportive, or both friends, please do. And above all, seek therapy. It is very, very important to seek therapy. So as she said, the support system, the fallbacks, let them be there. 2, let us cling on that higher power that you believe in. If you're a Muslim, cling on to that higher power. If you're a Christian, cling on to that higher power. Let the grief bring family together, couples. Let it bring you together. And for the single parents, because they're also there.
That's true.
For the single parents, please, the road is the same. Bring your family closer. Rope in anybody you feel can give you a leaning shoulder. And let it be a positive leaning shoulder. Anybody that is going to say anything negative, please just cut them. Actually, if you have to block, just block them. Because that moment of time, you need yourself. You need to feel your body. You need to feel your mind. You need to understand. Today, I'm crying. Why am I crying? I've remembered that I don't have a child. Or why am I crying? I've seen the clothes that I had bought. So once you're able to understand what is going through your body, how your body is behaving, how your body is reacting, the energies that you're attracting around you at that particular time, then you'll be able to, that is going through it. That is going through it and not over it. So it is important.
Over it.
Yes, it is important that the society, the general society, is educated and sensitized to be able to hold these people that lose kids. And then again, one thing that I'm forgetting to mention, when we're having a stillbirth, because we have stillbirth, we have miscarriage, and then we have the death immediately after birth, or the period, the infant birth, death. One thing that can be done, like a day like tomorrow, people are lighting candles all over the world, you know, to commemorate, to remember these children. If you can have your own ritual. If it was me who lost a baby, I had prepared for this child. I had bought some things. If it was a girl, then I had already prepared a name. It's okay. Create a ritual, something that will make you remember this day with love. You see, like the way we remember our departed, big people.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
The way we go for their anniversaries, it's okay to remember this one. It's your child. You can have a ritual. If you don't want to have a ritual it could mean, if it was a baby that was already there and the baby had a name, you can as well have an anniversary for the babies, or have a session, just a prayer moment to remember them, because in as much as they are gone, they're still your children, and you're still a mother. And the way she said, she's a mother of 3.
Right.
2 in heaven and 1 here.
Yes. Which brings me to a question I was to ask you earlier, Mercy. I mean, what does a day like tomorrow mean to you, or a month like this mean to you? Because she's saying we should remember them, yeah? And you started by saying you're a mother of 3, like she's saying, because that's the truth.
What I like about this month is that the conversation is rolling. And I was in an interview yesterday, and I got so many people inboxing me and telling me, thank you for coming to speak out. Many people do not speak about it. We're suffering in silence. And I haven't even finished replying to all my inboxes, because people are suffering in silence. Like she said, there's a shame around it and a hush-hush, low tones. So even people who are going through that grief are not able to come out and even reach for help, because it's unspoken. So this month is important because people get to speak about it, and other people get to see that they're not alone in this journey. And there are other people who have gone through what you're going through, and it's not that you're cursed, or it's not that God hates you. You're not alone. And so, yeah, that's why I decided to launch the book this month, and just have the courage to speak out for those who can't speak, and just tell them you're not alone, and you can make it through it. Even if it seems difficult, you can make it through it.
Right.
And I'm also starting support groups for just a safe space where people can talk about what they're going through, and we can discuss how to process and just have a safe place to grieve.
Actually, that was supposed to be my next question, from November, right?
Yes.
Could you tell us more about it? You're going to host virtual weekly support groups?
Yes.
Take us through that.
Already I've started a WhatsApp group, and those who have gone through loss are joining the group, so that we can have a place where if you're having a bad day, you can maybe write in the group and have other people who have gone through the similar journey to encourage you. And then for the virtual support groups we'll meet on Zoom, and I'll be calling psychologists. I'll invite you to just talk to people. I'm also now,
and you are,
I'm now about to graduate and become a counseling psychologist. And so it's just a place, a safe space where people can learn how to cope with the grief and find good coping mechanisms, because grief can send you the opposite direction into negative coping mechanisms. You've seen people who go into alcoholism and go into drugs, or go into deep depression and are not able to get out of it, and are not able to speak about it because it's not being spoken about. And so it's just a safe space for people to talk and learn to manage and cope.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Dorothy, we have about 4 minutes left, and I still need to get your closing remarks, the both of you. But I want us to discuss depression. You have mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier, Dorothy. Again, the study I mentioned by International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics says that after a miscarriage, 30 to 50% of women experience anxiety, and 10 to 15% experience depression, which can last up to 4 months. How do we prevent this? How do we ensure we don't need to get here?
Okay, Mercy, we could get, Grace, we could get there, but the thing is, how soon do we get out of there? Because it's a shock. It's coming with a shock. So it's okay for a minute to feel numb. It's okay for a minute to feel lost.
So how do we get out?
So how do we get out of there immediately so that it doesn't get chronic? One, support system. It has to be there. A constant support system, constant ask of how are you? And then we surround ourselves with people who speak positively about what has happened, and not trying to tell us, don't do this, it's supposed to be do this, don't mourn too much, don't do this too much. So let us surround ourselves with people. Again, as soon as it has happened, get a debrief from a therapist.
Right.
Get a debrief from a therapist to be able to, open your mind so that you're able to get to understand. So get to a therapist, get a support system right, and get the people around you. That is so right. And again, also don't be so hard on yourself. Extend grace, extend kindness to yourself.
Right. There's something I need you to address, Dorothy, before we wrap up. How to get rid of the fear of getting pregnant again? Yeah. Because you've had, say, a miscarriage once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5. I mean, how do you prepare for a 6th pregnancy and not fear that it's going to end up like the previous 5?
That one takes us back to the question that we've just answered. So the earlier you deal with this, the first loss, the better for you, or rather the better position placed you are to get to another child. Even though it will be scary, even though these thoughts will just be there, what if the baby goes again? But there's resilience that comes with the higher power, your higher power again, your faith. The resilience that comes with your higher power, 1. 2, the support system.
Right.
The constant encouragement that it's okay. Be kind to yourself. Let me try again. How bad can it be? Let me try again. The therapist, constant working with your therapist. I'm ready to, ready to have another child. And again, above all, listen to your body. Are you ready?
Right.
Listen to your body, listen to your mental, every being of you. Are you ready to have another child? If you're not ready, please don't.
Sure.
Heal first.
Don't succumb to pressure.
Please don't succumb to pressure. These people will be there. They will not be able to carry the pregnancy with you.
That's true.
Listen to your body, listen to yourself, a support system, therapist, your higher power.
All right. Time to get your closing remarks, ladies. Dorothy, let me start with you. Mercy, yeah? Dorothy, in a minute, please.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Let us, first of all, demystify the shame around miscarriages, the anger, the guilt, and the perception that comes with it. Women are most affected, unfortunately, because their bodies are not now just being them. So please, ladies and gentlemen, speak up. Speak up whenever it happens. Remember, it is not only you. Speak up and seek assistance. Seek help. Seek help. Seek help, and it's okay not to be okay.
Right. It is okay not to be okay. Mercy, you have a minute.
Okay, so when you're going through the thick of things, you feel like things will never get better. You feel like you'll never be happy again, and you feel like you'll be depressed always. That's not the truth. You will heal, just depending on what you do with the time. Make sure you work towards your healing, and things will get better with putting God first. For me, I said my faith was everything during this time. Put God first. Know that He has a plan for you no matter what, and His plans are good. And so it's just believing in God and knowing that He can work all things together for good. I'd never have thought I'd be here talking to other people.
Look at you, and encouraging other people.
Yeah, it would still be painful, but God has His plans.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You have
a
your book with you?
Yes. Hope for a Grieving Heart. So it's just finding hope, and I try to be as real and as vulnerable with the book, talking about the different stages of grief. I talk about the bargaining and the depression and the different verses that help me through the grieving process. And so you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and I'll be announcing when I'll be starting the support groups. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with women who don't have other people to work with, and we can walk this journey together.
I like that. Dorothy, where can people find you on social media, maybe?
Okay, on Facebook, Dorothy Omolo, or my farm is New Day Counseling. So you walk into New Day, it is a new day. On Facebook, and both on Instagram and other social media platforms.
You have punchlines. I love that. I do. Thank you. Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Mercy Chege Omari, mother and author, Hope for a Grieving Heart. Thank you so much for your time and contribution, Mercy.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Thank you for having this conversation.
I appreciate it, Mercy. I appreciate it. And of course, Dorothy Omolo, counseling psychologist. Thank you so much for your time and contribution, Dorothy. All right. And thank you for watching. Thank you for your feedback. We're going to sample it some other time. So, I'm sorry. I do apologize for that, okay? But I do really appreciate you tuning in. See you again tomorrow. Thank you to the entire crew that made this production a success. My name is Grace Korea Kanja. Do have a blessed night.